everybody. Sean Hamel here with another episode of the Origins Podcast. And today I have Eric and Alex, who have the coolest backdrop art I think that I've seen. Batman brushing his teeth is awesome. I don't know where you got that from, but I want one of those. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I know we've been Facebook friends for quite a while, so really appreciate you guys taking the time to be on the show. And I know you guys are killing it too, not only doing dentistry, but with your Just a Couple of Dentists podcast. I've caught a few episodes. It's really, really good stuff. So mad props on the show, but thank you guys both so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. So yeah, where did you find these? Alex is the one that found the...
I'm pretty good at finding things on line.
Yeah. I think it was like Etsy or something.
No, it was definitely not.
It wasn't Etsy? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it was
Show
some random like pop art. Yeah.
Well, they're awesome for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, but then and thank you for the podcast stuff. It's still fairly new to us, right? We're like 4 months in or so with it, and getting a few more listeners every time. But yeah, it's definitely
hope so. Yeah. If not, whatever. Eric and I just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's kind of just fun to talk.
Yeah, and it's definitely the 80s, the 90s outfits, the 80s. You did an 80s cover too, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what originally sparked mine. I think, Eric, that's how we connected, is because I was like, dude, that is the best still I've ever seen, which was you guys. But how did that come into being? I mean, with Origins now, our little Origins crew that listens to these shows, they're kind of used to the framework where you guys just talk about how you got to where you are, and you guys are doing so many amazing things personally, professionally. I know there's a lot of different levers we could pull in terms of getting started, but I would like to talk about the podcast. A lot of dentists I know are interested in podcasting, and you guys were able to build a really successful one together quickly. How did that come into being? Like, were you guys just sitting around one night talking, and then you were just like, we should record this?
I think it was one of my... my brain works where I have like 1,000 ideas every day, right? And like, I think like 99% are terrible. And so usually it works where like I usually just bug her with another idea I have. And so I think it was probably like a year and a half ago where I was like, oh, we should do a podcast. That would be fun. And it was just kind of more of a random thought.
Yeah. And
we didn't go too much into it. But then,
I didn't shoot him down right then, as I normally do. Yeah. It's like, no, we're not doing this, or no, don't talk to me about this. But oh, okay, maybe. It was a maybe. So there. Yeah.
So it's like it's like you're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
So yeah, I know you mentioned like it kind of happened quickly, and it really wasn't. This was a long time of Eric talking about it, kind of pitching it a little bit more, and then finally me breaking and going, okay, let's
I usually just wear down.
Yeah.
But
because a lot of it too is like, okay, these are all the things that we need, and it's like, okay, like let me get all the things and like figure out how to do all of this. That took a long time. We just didn't have any time to like sit down and actually figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, we're literally just set up in an extra room in our house, right? It's just a guest room that we have that we kind of converted just a wall to have these two little pieces of art back here. So, I mean, we did it. I think we've done it pretty like economical, right?
Oh yeah,
which has been nice. It wasn't as daunting as I thought it would be at first. But yeah, I think for me, a lot of it came from we went back to like, I guess, because this is the Origin podcast, right? Of like when we graduated dental school and like how we felt like we got to where we are now with, having a couple startups and selling those and kind of just progressing through all that. And one thing Alex and I both listened to a lot when we first graduated was podcasts. And there weren't many out there like in 2013, 2014, right? So it was mainly, Gary Takis's one, which was The Thriving Dentist. And then we would listen to Dental Hacks. And that's all you did on your drive, right? You had a long commute, and you would listen to that. And I would, in my drive into the military, I would do that as well. And we just learned so much about, I don't know, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And then, if we wanted just a little bit more entertainment, we'd listen to Dental Hacks, right? Because they were a good mix of like kind of entertainment with some education in it too. And I had just felt like I didn't see a lot of options out there now in podcasts that were doing that weren't like really like direct, like a lead magnet for like someone's consulting thing. So it kind of felt like, well, am I listening to this because this guy wants me to sign up for something? And so, whereas with Dental Hacks, it just felt like two dudes who just like to talk. And I felt like that resonated with us well. And so I kind of wanted to think about recreating that. And we have a, I guess a unique situation of, both being dentists, being married to each other, opening up practices together. So I figured it could be a interesting, take on it.
Yeah, not like we don't talk about dentistry enough as it is.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's also just record it. So like, yeah, we were kind of already talking about it, and we have a lot of information, like all of our mistakes, what we've been through, like the whole thing.
Well, it's crazy. Like you look through it, like
we don't mind sharing it. It's like,
yeah. And I think what's interesting too is like, you look back and you're like, okay, these last 8 years, what do we do? And then, it's like, hey, Alex bought a practice, sold it. We did 2 startups, had sold those. And you're like, okay, well, that's
8 years. It's been like 12.
10, 11. I don't know. I lose track of time. But no, what I was saying is like, then when you really go into it and you're like, all right, like what good stories do we have to tell? Like what could we tell people that would resonate and help them? And when you look into it, you're like, oh yeah, when Alex's practice started, like, 6 weeks into it, the whole thing had a septic issue and she had like literal shit was all over her floor, right? And then you got through that, right? Like I got hacked like at our office within like 4 months of a startup. We went through COVID 8 months after my startup. Like there's so many things that I think a lot of us don't realize, that we have a lot of really good stories that if we share them and tell them, then it helps a lot of other people too. And that has been one feedback that we've gotten back from people, is they'll be like, oh wow, like I see you guys struggled through this and you guys made it through. So then it gives people like confidence that they can do it too, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is like there so much information out there is kind of like just
sales,
not wrong.
Sales pitches.
Yeah, kind of
all
that,
salesy.
but also I don't know. I just think like we've been through it. It's not just like, oh yeah, you get, like my example, like 100 patients on your first month you've been open. It's like, no, this is real. Like that doesn't, maybe that's the one person that does it great, but here's like real stuff that happens, and guess what? You get through it and you can still be successful. Like, I don't know. I just think that the real stuff, I think it's filtering out stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome. It's really unique too, with you guys being a couple, of course, but there is a lot of podcasts now, and all of them really are just veiled continued sales pitches. It's like having a trade show booth that's just digitized, where it's a podcast. And doctors get exhausted with it, and rightfully so. I mean, everything's kind of a like smoke and mirrors type thing. It seems a lot of the resources and stuff that are out there. So it's really cool that you guys have this. And, on this show, we don't really have any filters. I don't have sponsors. I've never really adhered to I'm not trying to be offensive, but like it is what it is. I mean, a lot of dentistry it's just salespeople selling stuff. There's the level of expertise, people that have gone through what you guys have gone through. It's hard to find in just any podcast. And so I think it's amazing that you guys are doing it. The branding and stuff is really, really well done too. It's really funny. All of your teasers and stuff are really, really well done. If you haven't seen any of the stills for their podcast, I would encourage you to Google it right now. And you can see their like 1980s glamour shot, amazing stuff. It's awesome.
That was one of those things where it's like, it goes back to it. Maybe this is, who knows if it's actually good advice or not, but like that was just kind of more of like a weird, crazy idea. And we were like, no one else has really done this. Like, why don't we just do it? So I think a lot of times in your head, and this just isn't for the podcast thing, but I think in general, like if you were saying, oh, maybe I'm thinking about this marketing idea, right? And it's like out of the box or it's weird. Like, just try to do it. Because if you have that inkling, like when we thought of that idea for like the photo shoot, like we both smiled initially, right? And like if you get that reaction, there's probably something to it. And so that's one piece of advice too, is if you get that little like inkling of like, oh yeah, that kind of made me giggle or laugh, or that was funny, it's like it's probably then a good idea. Just do it.
Yeah, and I think we just kind of were like, we don't care. We don't care what people think. Like, if people hate it, whatever. Like, we like movies. We like being just whatever. Like,
yeah, you're always going to have haters. It's part of it.
Yeah, and it's just like, whatever. Let's just do it just because this is funny. Because we think it's funny. And if no one thinks it's funny, like, who cares?
Well,
so, I thought it was funny. I thought it was awesome.
And so, like, I don't know. This is, I guess, last night when we were winding down, we watched on Netflix, they had the Conan O'Brien got like the Mark Twain Award for comedy, right? And so they had a bunch of comedians come up, and they had like John Mulaney and Adam Sandler and a bunch of huge guys were just talking about Conan O'Brien. And I used to watch that when I was younger because it was like the mid 90s, and I was probably too young to be watching it. But I always remember that show was kind of just like weird and unique, and it was really interesting to hear what people said about him and his show. And I didn't know, like, for the first couple of years, like, it was almost getting canceled all the time because it was so, like, irreverent and just kind of off, but it had so much just creative freedom in it that eventually it just picked up. And so now he's got this like 30 to 40-year career where he's super successful, done so much. And it's because he didn't like keep himself in a box. He just was like, this is who I am. This is how I do things. And then eventually it just caught on. And I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And that with our podcast, that I guess we're not comedians. We're not comedian writers. We're not anything even close to that. But I want to take that approach of just, let's just do what we think can work, right? And I think if we're authentic in that way, it'll resonate. Maybe.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it definitely will. It definitely will. So I'm curious how the two of you met. How did the two of you get into dentistry? Was it like something that you knew when you were younger? It was what you wanted to do. What was kind of your rosebud moment with dentistry? And then how did you guys find each other on this journey with everything going on?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anyone in my family that was in the dental field or anything like that. So it was really kind of in high school, kind of figuring out like what I wanted to do. Obviously, I wanted to be some kind of doctor of some sort or a lawyer, some kind of professional. So I always just really liked, owning a business. That was kind of my thing. I wanted to make sure that I still had that freedom and flexibility. So dentistry was, a healthcare profession. You could own your own office, and it seemed like a really good match. So that's kind of where I went with that and just kind of pursued that. And then,
for me, I remember shadowing like doctors and dentists in college. And I think because I'm kind of inherently lazy, I liked the lifestyle of the dentist a little more. Like I still remember to this day, my buddy, we live in Chicago, right? So we went to Six Flags. I think it was Six Flags Great America, right? That was in like Gurnee, Illinois, so just north of the suburbs. And we were like in second or third grade. I was with my friend and his dad, and we got to the park right when it opened at like 8 o'clock. Go on our first roller coaster, and then his dad has a pager, and his dad's a doctor. And the pager came up, and he looked at it, and he's like, "Oh, I got called into work." And I remember we were there for like 1 hour, and then had to leave. And from that, I remember I still like that story still is in my head where I'm like, I don't think I would want that lifestyle when I'm older and when I have like kids and a family. Like that always resonated with me as like, I do not want to have to be on call all the time because it's going to take away from like enjoying life. So then when I got older and kind of shadowed both, that kind of reaffirmed that. And I was like, oh, the dentistry route's nice. And you can still, like she said, you can have your own business, which I think is super valuable. And I've just always been drawn towards that. And then us meeting each other, I just pretty much.
So we went to the same dental school. We were in the same class. And pretty much we were just friends for all 4 years.
Well, I think I always wanted to be more than friends with her, but I'm like, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not outwardly that shy, but I think if it comes to girls, I'm probably really shy. I was just terrible with it. So like, so for me, I like remember we would go out and go to parties like within the class and have fun. And I always be like, oh yeah, I should like, maybe I'll like ask her if she wants to like go get a drink or something like that. And I would like come up with all these things in my head and then talk myself out of it. I feel like I'm probably more akin to how like, like characters like Jason Biggs in like American Pie or like Ben Stiller with stuff where it's just like not smooth, right? And so I was like, I'm gonna screw this up somehow. And then someone else asked her out first, and then she was dating someone else for a bit, and I was dating someone for a bit, and then towards the end of dental school, when we were getting ready to take boards in fourth year, we were both single again. And then I literally think I was like, well, if I don't do anything now, then like this will never happen.
We were graduating and going to be leaving.
Yeah. So I think we graduated boards and I was like, oh, let's go celebrate. And then knowing me, she had no idea that it was anything more than that. And then I think I was like, oh, let's go see a movie because we like movies. And I was like, oh, I'll go buy your ticket. I think she was like, this is weird. Why is he doing that? And I was like, oh yeah, because I never told you
that this is a date.
Yeah. Because I figured that's just the best way I should do it.
Incognito date. That's awesome. It's just like the podcast. He just wore you down.
That's exactly the
slowly but surely.
For this. Yeah. So.
That's such a great story. That's awesome. And how many years has it been now?
Since we've been married?
Well, since we've been dating, it was 20. So it would have been like spring of 2013. And then a little bit later, we got married. We didn't wait too long between dating and getting married. We'd known each other for 4 years. And then, I joined the military. I asked her to move out with me. So there was a lot of things that just made sense just to just do it.
Yeah, it'll be 12 years this coming October.
Good for you guys. Congratulations. That's awesome. And with your military experience, thank you for your service, by the way. Coming into dentistry from that, I know is unique. Like, not jumping into an associateship or even jumping into practice ownership. Is there anything from the time in the military that you think maybe really helped you with? I mean, you're super extroverted. You move really fluid like an entrepreneur. I wouldn't say a lot of dentists, but most doctors have a lot of ideas, but they don't really act on them. Or they ask for a lot of advice and stuff, and you seem very, I wouldn't say cavalier, but you just seem very smooth with, like, you're doing this, now I'm doing this, and you do everything to a high level. Where do you think that came from? Do you think that came from maybe the military experience versus kind of being unsure of yourself and jumping into the job, like as an employee maybe after school? Do you think that might have bridged the gap a little bit?
I don't know. But first, I'm just going to get a recording. I'm going to get a recording of that last 30 seconds where you said all that nice stuff.
You have it.
And then I'm just going to play it for Alex later, just so she
there you
can
go.
hear it over and over again. Yeah.
Well, because I don't know. I don't know.
So I think that's giving and I think that's kind of going back to it. I think between us, what's nice is we have different characteristic traits that play off of each other. So like, I'm like the person that just has like 1,000 ideas. She still has.
She's the integrator. Okay.
But she's
I got it.
way more of the integrator.
She's the smooth jazz in the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is
I
want to do a podcast. No, it's more like I want to do a podcast. All right, figure out what I need to get. And then she's the one that's like the technician and can go in and say like, we need this, and we need to set this up this way and do it this way. And so I'm
visionary integrator. You guys are a dynamic duo.
Yeah.
Although what's nice is you do have like,
when I come up with an idea, it's usually the idea.
Yeah, and it's more like, and that's even when we're talking. Like when I talk, it's just like, it's all like a word salad, right? So like it's taking 20 minutes to explain something that could take 30 seconds. She'll say less, but when she says something, it has more value, right? So I think the dynamic plays well together.
Yeah.
Because I think looking back, like where we've gotten, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we did without each other, because I probably wouldn't have done those initial pushes to like say, let's do this. And then she's the one who makes sure that it actually like comes to fruition, right? So I think that's kind of what's helped us a bit.
Yeah.
But going back to the military thing, the military was nice because it let you really hone in your skills without like a lot of pressure or being nervous of like, I got to worry about if this patient can afford this, or, man, this patient's going to get mad. They yelled at me after, and they're going to leave me a 1-star review, or they're going to sue me or something like that. It was a lot easier just to say like, this is what you need. This is what I'm diagnosing. This is how I'm treating it. So it was very simple from that standpoint. So I think I could have taken better advantage of it, but it was a really good way to just focus singularly on like building skills, right? Because you're getting salary. So like, you're not focused on like your production numbers as much.
And I think tying that in, Eric has always been naturally good at just talking to people. And like you said, he's an extrovert. He feeds off of that energy and can talk to anyone about anything. So I think, he's just been able to relate to a bunch of people and grab ideas or grab, just different insights and stuff and just keep it all in his brain. And then been like, oh yeah, let's do this. Or like, he just has so much more knowledge kind of up there. And I think with the military, he was able to do that because, like he said, there wasn't a lot of pressure to be like, oh, I got to see this patient on time and get him out and get him in and that kind of stuff, that you could kind of have a little bit more, hone in a little bit more on those relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you next anyway, but now that I know that you're really the brains behind the operation, but I was going to ask you too, how did you become such an empowered entrepreneur too? Because I know, we've had not as many interactions obviously as Eric and I've had, but you can tell that you've got a lot going on upstairs in terms like you have a lot of ideas. You're very strategic in thinking, but also, I mean, being a mom, doing all the stuff that you're doing. How did that all come into being? Did you just know that you were wired for this kind of success? Like hearing that you wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, maybe younger, it sounds like maybe you had big aspirations and you guys are killing it now. So where did that come from? Maybe if there is a doctor listening to this that has that same motivation but doesn't really know which way to go, especially our female doctors and what they go through, what advice would you give them in terms of being able to do some of the stuff that you've done, especially at such a young age? to get going, or to get a podcast going, or to find their voice, or any of those things?
I mean, I don't know. I think from the beginning, like I said, I've wanted to own an office. I've always wanted to be successful. Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's like just ingrained from when you're little, of like wanting to impress your parents or impress, your community. Just like, I want to be really good at something. And I think along the way, like it originally was, I wanted to be a cosmetic dentist, like a famous cosmetic dentist. And that was kind of the plan. But as I started to like own dental offices and work on systems and things like that, that's where I kind of found that it was really easy for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was good at coming up with a system, or like breaking down like a whole thing of like, oh, this is so complicated. It's like, oh, well, why don't we just do it like this? And there's like 10 steps on how you need to do it. So I've always just had a knack for that, and just keeping things really organized in my head. And so I think just kind of knowing that, I'm like, oh, well, if I can do that kind of easily, maybe I can do this in other sectors as well. Like, why do I just have to be dentistry? And so I kind of like just expanded my thought process on like, do I really want to just do this, just do dentistry, or is there something else in there that I could like, kind of do? And I think that's kind of where some of the other stuff kind of came from. So that kind of like in my head, plus Eric's, like just do it, like go ahead, like he doesn't care,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that teamed with my thought process gave me like the confidence to go, okay, let's do it. Like, I don't know if it's going to work, or I don't know if this is good, but okay, let's kind of pull the trigger and do this other like offshoot, or do this other business, or do whatever.
And I think going through all of it too, right? Like you have to try to stay motivated, because it's such a roller coaster, right? Like anyone who's, even if you're just a dentist, right? Like your days can go from like awesome day of, seating this great veneer case and the patient is super happy, to where like you have trouble with a root canal an hour later, right? Or if you own a practice, right? Like you just hired a great employee, but then the next day someone leaves. Like life's such a roller coaster like that. And even when you're trying to start businesses, or even what you deal with, Sean, right? With marketing, like it's so much ebbs and flows that like we've been trying to focus on, or me probably, of just keeping like still what's your North Star? What's your purpose? So like when that stuff happens, you try not to let it affect you as much.
Yeah.
Like I let it affect me a lot.
Yeah, and I think one of the good things too, I think just kind of ingrained in me, and this could be probably learned too, is just leave the emotions out. Like I think I've always been kind of really good at that. Like not that I'm like just like so stoic and whatever. It's like no. I've like flip out moments too, but I think with business, it's like no, this is not an emotional problem, or this doesn't involve an emotional decision. So leave that out of it. Like check that at the door. Just go, okay, what is going to work the best? Just looking at numbers and looking at the data, look at the facts, and then go from there and make your decision. And not like, oh, this is scary. Okay, well, that's an emotion. Who cares? Oh, this might not, like whatever it is, just like don't even think about it.
Well, and you have to too, like we talk about it a lot, is like, and we've gotten this from just other people we've followed like online and stuff like that are successful, but like about just like getting your reps in with stuff too. So like that stuff scares me. I'm more emotional if like if I have to fire someone, right? Like it'll keep me up at night. I'll like wake up with a stomach ache and all that kind of stuff just because I don't feel great. But if you're going to own a business, that's going to happen. So like you're going to have to deal with it. So just accept the fact that's the case. And then it's like, just get as many reps in as you can, as fast as you can.
I think the framework is like, oh no, I don't want to do this. This is going to suck. And it's like, this is going to be my first one. Okay. Let me do it. And I will get better for the second one. And I will learn something, and I'll get better for the third one. It's part of it. But just think of it like a system. Like
it's crazy how much like, I mean, I guess maybe you just get this as you just live more life, but like reframing things can change so much. And like, like, and then you start to realize, oh, there's other people that are really successful, and you listen to what they say and how they talk, and their whole, like, they frame their life so much differently than the average person does. And it's like, oh, well, that's a big reason why they're who they are. And then it's like, okay, well, they seem happy, I guess on an Instagram reel, right? But like, like they've done well, and it's like, okay, well, maybe like we're motivated to be like that. It's like, okay, so let's like try to see what those type of people do. So like surround yourself, even if it's not direct, like just be receiving information from people who are always way more successful than you. Otherwise, you're just not growing, and then you're going down, right?
Yeah.
Totally. See, and I'm a visionary, so me and you, Eric, are like, hey, let's jump off the cliff, whereas Alex is like, I'm going to build steps and go down that way.
Yeah.
So if you're a visionary, you can hire an integrator, or in Eric's case, you could marry an integrator. Whichever works. Marriage might be better, but that's awesome. It's such a great story, and I really do love the stuff that you guys are doing. Can we talk about any of the other offshoot stuff that you guys are working on? Is any of that ready to discuss yet, or is that still kind of under wraps?
Man, it's been under wraps for so
Too
long.
long. Yeah, it's like you think like, man, like
Yeah,
you think.
here's advice: don't develop a software like
Yeah.
that. It takes way too long and way too much money. But
I mean, we're not like. I still think you have to have that thing of like, it only fails once you quit, right? So like you have to continue to push through,
Yeah.
right? And like,
Mhm.
like I said, even with owning a dental practice, like that helped us get the reps in when you're dealing with new challenges, because you're like, man, if you would have told me before opening a practice that I'm not kidding, I think we literally went through like 50 employees in like 5 years or 6 years.
Mhm.
If I would have known that, if I would have known we would have gotten hacked, if I would have known that COVID would have happened, if I would have known all these things beforehand, I would have never done it. And so like we said before, just go ahead and do it. And I think it has helped us with some of the things we're doing in software now, right? Like to continue through it. I mean, where we're at, like what my big thing I'm trying to solve now, and I've been wanting to solve for a bit, is the whole like ordering supply space in dentistry. Like I love the reps I work with. I think they're good people. It's just, to me, the whole system and model is very broken, where there's a huge conflict of interest when the person selling you supplies and saying they're getting you the best price also makes a commission based off how much you spend. So like
Mhm.
it's always, I don't know, like there's something that's always probably bugged me more than it should, and it probably bugs other people, is when I feel like there's like people are trying to say they're transparent and helping you, but there's like this just direct conflict of interest, and it just makes, I don't know, it just like
it's icky.
boils me inside, right? So it makes me frustrated. So I saw the supply industry being very outdated, and I was like, okay, so in our offices, let's like try to get our supplies down as much as we can, because like honestly, there's 20 different suppliers out there. They don't. It's like getting a car from a car dealership. Like you can negotiate with them, and so we've been able to keep our supplies down below like 3%. So like when I hear the industry standards like 6%, it's like, okay, so you're anchoring that off of that model. Like there's a better way to do it. So I was able to kind of figure that out at our offices, and then we started helping out other offices too. And we're like, let's see if this actually works with other people. And so what we're building out now through Ordo is kind of just recreating Alex and I in like an AI form that can help offices. So instead of having to rely on your assistant that has to know, the doctor likes to order house brand, Articaine instead of Septicane, right? Like getting name brand versus generics. And then you lose the assistant 2 months later, and then you got to hire a new one, right? And then you got to hire a new one, because we all know how that goes. Now, if you use Ordo or Gordo, who's our like avatar for it, like he knows your products, he knows what you've ordered, he knows your order history, he knows what you're okay with substitutes on, and so it's taking a lot of the human element out of it that can be error in there, and kind of automating it all. So the whole goal on that is just to like get everyone's supply costs down, because every other cost is going up, and like I still think we can control supplies even with all this tariff stuff going on. I still think there's
Is there a way for people to get more info on it? Is anything up or ready to go yet?
We're beta testing it right now.
Nice.
Which is good. Yeah. So we're pretty close to launching it, and for having offices, start saving some good money. You could all go to joinordo.io.
And I'll put it in the description too, for sure. And that's
there's like a wait list that you can kind of get on and get some information, so that once we're ready to launch, you guys will be the first to know.
very cool. And how can people get in touch with both of you? How can they follow the podcast? How can throw all your deets up here, and I'll put all of it in the description as well.
Oh, mine. I mean, so we've got Facebook pages, everything set up for Just a Couple Dentists podcast, right? We've got it set up for Ordo as well. I'm pretty active on Facebook, probably more so than like the other platforms. So reaching out just to me, just my name, Eric Appelsies, right? And then you can DM me that way too.
You can check out our website for The podcast is called coupleofdentists.com. Then you can subscribe to the podcast.
And Alex has a really cool, like, side note. She has a really cool, like, newsletter that she's been working on.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that too.
And so that, yeah, but
so
that's just kind of, it's
that's
nice.
Like
it's just
really,
like a
really quick 2 minutes of reading. See it, like read it in between patients. Just kind of like no BS kind of advice.
It's pretty good. It's just like a really cool form because some people like videos, some people like just reading stuff too, and I think it's a really good, like it works well with the podcast. I mean, I like reading it. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Told you to say that.
Yeah.
She's giving you $5 under the table.
I know. Yeah.
Here you go.
I just gave her my Venmo details.
Well, guys, thank you again so much. I always love our conversations. Definitely want to have you guys back once you get everything launched and going, and just continue to see you guys growing, and wish you guys all the best. Thank you guys so much again for coming on Origins. I really appreciate it.
Great.
No, that's awesome.
Thanks
so much for having us.
You bet.